year is what we compare it with. We take the Dutch situation with these two cars, but we reckon our findings will be pretty similar all over Europe. So what are you going to see in the showrooms? The Omega offers a couple more options than the Mercedes. It can be delivered as the saloon and also as the big, impressive estate car known by Opel as the station wagon. If you want an estate version of the Mercedes, you have to go for the more expensive E-Class Combi, which in its cheapest basic version is a lot more than the top-of-the-range Opel MV6 station wagon. So price is important here. Talking selectively about the saloons, Mercedes has more choice and variety. There are 4 petrol engine versions, the C180, 200, 220 and 280, and 3 diesels, the 200, 220 and 250. Mercedes have got some nice options within those models too. You can choose the level of trim and tune, standard, luxury, extra chic and sporty, with price being the only real restraint. 3 choices of the Opel Omega then: petrol engines, 2 litre, 2.5 and V6 3 litre, all multi-valves. Well, that's pretty much the same for Mercedes. There's only 1 diesel available for Opel, and that's a 2.5 litre turbo diesel with intercooler, which has been developed by BMW, and it's a very sophisticated power unit. Germany, of course, is well known as the home of luxury cars, so the baseline for this comparison is set very high. So let the battle commence between the Mercedes C180 16-valve and the 2-litre Omega 16-valve, both rear-wheel drive. Time to check out the most important aspect, the price. In Holland, you can buy the Omega 2-litre 16-valve for 53,990 guilders. The Merc C-Class costs 4,000 guilders more, which incidentally is more than the cost of the Omega estate. Overall, the Omega is a bigger car than the Mercedes. Whether that's a plus or a minus depends entirely on your own taste, but of course you must remember size can drastically affect handling characteristics. Well, we think that Opel have got it about right. In the front, there's not a lot in it between the Opel and the Mercedes. But in the back of the car, you'll notice the difference at once. Width-wise, the Mercedes has never been a wide car. Obviously, the same applies for the boot. There's no real comparison. In the boot of the Omega, you can go to sleep. There's space for 530 litres of baggage and a split-back seat. In the Mercedes C-Class, strangely, the split-back seat is an extra option. The Merc's luggage space is 430 litres. That means the Omega can transport 2 or 3 big suitcases more. How about the rest of the interior? On layout and appearance, both cars score well. Well designed and laid out with all the controls in the right place. Opel, as well as Mercedes, obviously pay a lot of attention to ergonomics. The seats in both cases are excellent, good support and comfort. And they both use luxurious velour upholstery, so equal again here. Then the onboard equipment. Let's start with safety. An important sales aspect nowadays. The Mercedes C-Class did well last year by incorporating a lot of safety equipment as standard. Very important these days. Crinkle zones, safety cages, side impact protection in the doors. Usually standard in most cars, but the C-Class also has ABS and an airbag for the driver. The seat belts have height adjustment and automatic tensioning. Our crash test film shows how well these work, reeling in on impact. So, how does the new Omega combat this imposing spec? Well, ABS and 2 airbags as standard, one for the driver and a bigger one for the passenger. Plus a seatbelt extra called the blocking system. plus tensioners in the front. It'll be interesting to compare the actual collision tests of the two cars, but on paper, the Omega wins. Let's check out the rest of the fixtures and fittings delivered as standard. Insulating glass available on both. Power steering available on both. Central locking available on both. Remote locking control the Mercedes doesn't offer. Instrument-wise, there's a rev counter on both vehicles. Electric front windows, not for the Mercedes. Electrically adjustable mirrors, yes, on both vehicles. And those mirrors are heated too on both vehicles. Seat adjustment, it's electric on the Opel and manual on the Mercedes. And the Opel also boasts an anti-allergenic filter ventilation system. It's too much of a task to compare all of the details between the two cars, but it's clear that the Omega again beats the Mercedes C-Class in the comfort zone. And also the Omega has, important to me this, as standard, 8 loudspeakers fitted for the hi-fi. A digital readout displays information from the onboard computer. And also, in addition to the remote control for the central locking, the system also has a unique immobilizer. The engine will not operate without a special signal sent to the car's brain from the original key. Car thieves are worried about this one. People obviously buy a car to drive, so comparative performance is very important. The Mercedes produces 122 brake horsepower from 1.8 litres. The Opel, 136 brake horsepower from 2 litres, pretty much what you'd expect. The Opel, of course, is a lot heavier, but the acceleration figures don't show that, do they? On closer examination, the torque curve is the reason for this. The Opel delivers it just where it's needed. Top speed for the Opel, 210 kilometers an hour. The Mercedes runs out of breath at 193. Fuel economy is pretty equal. Using the standard EEC measurement, the Omega uses 8.5 litres every 100 kilometres. The C-Class Mercedes is rated exactly the same. Finally, let's say something about the handling. Most people would expect the Mercedes to be streets ahead, but this is not so. True, the Merc has a good feel due to the traditionally excellent rear suspension. Steering is very predictable, if a little soft, and the power steering is well balanced and the brakes good. The Omega, riding on the well-developed suspension of the old Omega 3000, shows excellent handling too. The Mercedes feels a little more sporty, and because of the extra weight, the Omega is less restless. So, to round up, well, surprisingly, there's very little in it. I think it's fair to say the Opel is a serious competitor to the Mercedes C-Class. Handling is slightly more cumbersome, performance is a little better. They're both very quiet, with a high level of equipment and comfort and safety. The Omega offers much more room, and of course it does it for less money. Remove border and trade restrictions, and the market just has to find its own level. The result will almost certainly be a car price war in Germany. Exchange rates and disjointed tax structures add to the confusion. But with the Spanish-built Corsa selling in Italy for 40% less than a German-built equivalent, something's going to hit the fan. An Audi TDI costs 10,000 Deutschmarks less in France than Frankfurt. And estimates reckon around 200,000 German brands were imported into Germany in 1993, and that number could double this year. Consumers are ecstatic with the low prices, but 1 in 2 German showrooms could be operating at a loss in the near future. Losses of $171 million and no profits for 5 years may sound bad for General Motors' own Saab. But the Swedish car manufacturer points out its losses are half that of 1993. And drastic cost-cutting has made the company viable despite dropping sales. Saab's main markets are the USA and Great Britain, where recovery is on the way. So 87,000 units is the target for sales from the 9,900 range. While most publication of a report criticizing Europe's leading car manufacturers, VW has unveiled drastic and wide-ranging plans to restructure development and production at its manufacturing plants. The new management, only in situ for 14 months, hopes to stem the losses, cut capital spending, reduce the workforce, rationalize product ranges, and meet the competition face to face, ready for the next decade. This is one of the most ruthless corporate revolutions ever seen at Europe's #1 car giant, and it involves an integrated new model platform development program in association with Audi. Sentimentalists will shed a tear as Beetle production ends in Europe and concentrates to Mexico and Brazil. More news from Geneva. On Wednesday, the winner was announced for the Auto 1 election, the man in the street's choice of the car for Europe. And the results vindicated the journalist's earlier European Car of the Year award. It went to the Ford Mondeo. Good news for rally fans. We're following some of the French Championship events. This one takes place in Armentières.
So welcome back to Motors. We just mentioned about the IndyCar coverage on Sunday. That is 4 o'clock on Sunday morning, British time, 5 o'clock European time. This is a quick move across the Atlantic to Portugal, where last week the 27th TAP Rally of Portugal, second round of the World Rally Championship and second round of the World FIA Cup for 2-litre cars took place around the north of Portugal, starting from Estoril. 2,213 kilometers, 36 special stages over 571 kilometers, and the first day starting out of Estoril, all tarmac. First of the gravel rallies though, Monte Carlo having been all tarmac, and Toyota entering Juha Kankkunen and Didier Auriol, as always. Kankkunen accompanied by Nicky Grist, Auriol by Bernard Ocelli. Ford had 4 factory entries: François Delacour, Mickey Biasion, Bruno Thierry and Alex Fiorio, while Subaru had Colin McCrae and Carlos Sainz on his second rally for the Subaru ProDrive team. Mitsubishi missed the rally in Group A form, but Armin Schwartz was on hand to help Isolde Holderried, fighting for the Ladies' Cup in a Group N Lancer.
Ja, gut, Spaß kann man vielleicht nicht davon reden. Ich bin hier.
Armin told us, I'm here to see the opposition, to see how the other teams work, as well as helping Isolde. Our car worked very well in Monte Carlo, and I regret we're not racing here, but I hope my presence here will be very beneficial to us for the next races. Well, leg 1, 11 stages around Estoril, going up north towards Tomar, finishing up in the Arganil area. Delacour very impressive, last year's winner, nobody can touch him at the moment. On this first day he will win 7 of the first 8 stages and takes a 32-second lead, but in the stage 9 a broken drive shaft cost him 30 seconds. Delacour finishes the first day with just a 4-second lead. 2 drivers are equal for second place. This man, Mickey Biasion, in the second of the Fords. Mickey partnered by Tiziano Siviero. And this man, Juha Kankkunen, who actually led the rally during one stage after Delacour's brief problems. Well, a surprising 4th. Here is Andrea Ghini, 43 seconds behind Delacour, driving a privateer Toyota this year. While Bruno Thierry is chasing Auriol. Auriol can't understand why he's so slow, but Thierry is 6th, and he had some transmission problems too. Well, the 2 Subaru drivers, Carlos Sainz and Colin McCrae, 7th and 8th, and just look at the blinding speed of Colin McCrae in the number 5 car. This man surely is going to be world champion one day when the McCrae jinx deserts him. second day, leg 2, around Puerto des Azim and including the Lusada stage of the European Rallycross Championship circuit. Huge crowd here, but Delacour, the rally leader, retires on this first stage of the day at Lusada. A broken valve in the engine, causing engine failure. Delacour quitting the rally in the lead for the second time in 3 years. Last year he won it, but this year he is out early on. On the gravel, Kankkunen is very fast indeed. He takes 2 stage wins and is so much quicker than Biassion. At the end of the day, Kankkunen will be leading by 26 seconds in front of Ford's Niki Biassion. Didier Auriol still having some problems. He loses 18 seconds today from Kankkunen, but he is at least in third place, 44 seconds behind Biassion, benefiting after Aghini retires in his privateer Toyota. Subarus are going well. 2 stage wins for Sainz, 2 for McCrae. They're 4th and 5th now. And this man, Spain's Jesus Puras, is leading Group N in 10th overall, but behind a great big battle going on for Formula 2 between Tommy Mäkinen of Nissan, Fernando Perez of Ford, and Gregoire de Mervis of Opel. Well, over the bridge at São Mateus, the town that gives its name to the rosé, and look at Didier Auriol, fastest on leg 3, wins 6 stages out of the 9 today, and takes second place from Niki Biassion, clawing back 29 seconds from Kankkunen. But Kankkunen it is who's still leading, 41 seconds ahead of Auriol after a very good day.
Didier has been very fast today, and Mickey is also going, but we will see. I think tomorrow will be still another quite hard day.
Niki Biassion pushed back to third place, 22 seconds behind Auriol, and in 4th place behind them, Carlos Sainz. Police controlling the crowd here as Sainz comes through. Argonil stage being the first on which the FIA has used its camera control car to check the safety of spectator stages. Running a video camera through the stage, they then decide, is it safe or should they cancel the stage? They recommend to the organisers what they should do, and the organisers are obliged usually to accept the decision of the safety observer. This is Isolde Holderried, still leading the Ladies' Cup. She had a good day, coming back from 17th to 11th place. Ahead of her, this Formula 2 battle for the 2-litre, 2-wheel drive car still raging, but Tommy Mäkinen is out in the Nissan Sunny GTI. Gregoire de Mervis is out in the Opel Astra, and Fernando Perez pushes further ahead in Group A as Jose Carlos Macedo in the Renault Clio Williams takes the lead of Formula 2. Macedo moving up the order very quickly to 6th place. Tommy Mäkinen having been in that position when he retired with engine problems. Leg 4 starts with 3 long stages. A last chance for Auriol to catch Kankkunen, but Auriol can only pull back 5 seconds on his teammate in the final 70 kilometers, and he will finish second on the rally. The man who wins after his second place in Monte Carlo, Juha Kankkunen, wins the Portuguese rally, his 21st win out of 88 World Championship rallies, 40 seconds ahead of Auriol. He also takes the World Championship lead with 35 points ahead of the 22 shared of Biassion and Sainz.
Very tough rally, but very good result, and especially I'm happy that I could manage to be as fast on tarmac beginning, so I mean, it was very good. It's too early to say anything about championship yet, but just let's say the start is very good.
89 cars started, just 35 finished. And behind the Toyotas, Niki Biassion finished in third, 10 seconds behind Auriol. He bringing important points for Ford in the Constructors' Championship. Carlos Sainz fourth, 2 minutes 16 behind Kankkunen. He's very happy about his improvement, but Colin McCrae was out with an engine fire after an oil clip came loose. Jesus Puras in the Ford Escort Cosworth finishes 8th, winning Group N. While Macedo wins Formula 2 in the Renault Clio Williams. Isolde Holderried finishes 11th and for the second consecutive rally wins the Ladies' Cup for Mitsubishi. Well, this rally was really tough, she said. I'm happy with my result though. Those 3 days on gravel gave me a lot more experience. Car spot, looking at some of the new cars this week. This is the Volvo 850 T5. Most powerful car in the Volvo range now. It's a 2.3-litre turbocharged engine, a massive 255 horsepower and 300 newton meters of torque. Maximum speed 232 kilometers. Can do 0 to 100 kilometers in 7.5 seconds. And this is the car, of course, on which Volvo is basing its British Touring Car Championship hopes this year, although of course in 2-litre normally aspirated form. The car is available as a turbo car, both as a saloon or as an estate. The estate, of course, with special significance, as it's the estates which Tom Walkinshaw Racing are using for Jan Lammers and Richard Rydell in the British Touring Car Championship, which starts at Thruxton on Easter Monday, April the 4th. Well, this is the new Fiat, the Fiat Punto as it's called. Not a name, I must say, that really inspires British buyers. You're going to Punto someone up the back, might put you off buying, just as Lancia's Dedra put a lot of people off buying it. But name apart, the car apparently is quite impressive, as Fiat did with the Uno Turbo. They produced the Punto Turbo, 1400cc, 1.3 bar of turbo, giving 136 horsepower and 21.2 kilograms of torque. It's well equipped, the Punto GT. It's got ABS braking, power steering, sports seats, and very high level of performance because of its very low weight, just 1,000 kilograms. 0 to 100 in 7.9 seconds, almost on par with the Volvo Turbo, and the flying kilometre in under 29 seconds. Well, Peugeot in the market this summer with its new 306 convertible, 2 engines available on this one, a 1.8 litre giving 103 brake horsepower, or a 2 litre giving 123 horsepower. Variation on a theme, very nice design. Beautifully engineered Peugeot. Although, of course, Peugeot continuing with the 405 for its British and French and Italian Touring Car Championship assaults. Welcome back to Motors. This was the Trophée Andros, the French Ice Racing Championship, held over this last winter. It finished last week in Paris with a distinctly iceless finale. But let's have a look at some of the best shots of the season. Well, this is the French Ice Racing Championship. 7 rounds at a variety of circuits all around France, some in the Alps, some in the not-so-Alps. And 3 teams in with a chance this year. Opel is the newcomer to ice racing, the Astra V6, prepared by Snowbet Racing, the 92 and 93 trophy winners. BMW entering 2 318s, prepared by Hugh de Schonak's Oreca team, the people who won Le Mans for Mazda in 1991. Their first time in ice racing. For Oreca, that is, not for BMW. Drivers Philippe Bugalski, Marc Douay, Marcel Thares and Bertrand Barras. But the outsiders, French team Omega, who appeared for the first time last year. Ford Escort Cosworth powered cars, 4-wheel drive, 4-wheel steering, as are all the cars at the top end of the French Championship. Drivers Francois Chauche, Maurice Chomat, Philippe Gache and Bernard Darniche. For Mercedes, we're back again this year in the ex-Danny Smobret prepared cars. They're being bought by Patrick Tambay's Monaco Racing team. Tambay himself will be driving one of them. Citroën ZX with the Rally Raid engines for Jean-Luc Paillet, the European Rallycross Championship, and the smaller Citroëns, the AXs, with 2-litre engines for Jean-Pierre Malcher and Christophe Vezon. Malcher having been multiple Andros Trophy champion, incredibly good on ice. Well, the first round was at Val Thorens in the Espace Killy, the great skiing resorts in the French Alps, not far from Val d'Isère. Great snowstorm in qualifying, but in the B final, Francois Chauche on the Mega is on pole. This is his start and finishes 3rd behind the 2 BMWs. In the A final, Mega seem unbeatable. Maurice Chomat and Philippe Gache on the first row, and nobody can catch them. It has to be said, near perfect conditions for ice racing. Hard packed snow and the corners gradually breaking up to reveal the tarmac or dirt road underneath. And just look at the 4-wheel steering in action on these Megas, built at Aix-les-Bains by a very small French off-road company. Well, Chomat and Gache finish 1st and 2nd in the A final. Mega bettering that with a 1-2-3. For the manufacturer's points, and it's hard on the cars. Well, Francois Chatriot in the V6 Calibra engined Opel Astra wins this one, as he did last year in the same conditions. This is the first victory for Opel after just 2 races.
Bon, bah, j'ai été encore un peu plus vite que nos souhaits les plus chers.
Came much faster than we had expected, said Francois. You know, it's very hard to win with a brand new car, but this track was very good for us. Chatriot takes the trophy overall in 2nd place. Maurice Chomat here in the Mega, 2nd in La Bresse, still the overall leader of the Trophée Andros, sponsored by one of France's largest jam manufacturers. From La Bresse, the circus heads down south to the Maritime Alps, Isola 2000, Isola 2000, as you skiers will know it. Plenty of snow there again, very high up, 2,000 meters, 6,000 feet. Great conditions for ice racing. Francois Chatriot again, the star of the weekend. Wins again in round 3 despite a bad final. Points are scored throughout qualifying, throughout the heats and in the 3 finals. So despite finishing only 3rd at the end of this race, Chatriot is able to claim victory for the weekend. And he moves in to the overall lead of the Trophée Andros. Races have to be red flagged. Danny Snowbeck wins the B final after having been involved the first time. 1-2 for Opel and Labresse, Chatriot and Snowbeck finishing ahead of Schosch's Mega. Action then moves to Lens-en-Vercors, where the finals are held at night. In the B final, Christophe Vezon in the little AX, just 2 litres, is on pole. Very impressive in the qualifying sessions, this car scoring with its lightness. Vezon wins the B final in front of Chatriot, but Chatriot stays in the overall lead of the trophy. In the A final, the Megas are back on top again. Francois Schosch, who was on pole position after qualifying, and Philippe Gache on the first row, they make it a 1-2 for Mega. So Schosch celebrates with a victory donut, winning Lens-en-Vercors in front of Vezon and Chatriot. Serre Chevalier, reckoned by many to be the most beautiful circuit in the trophy. Position for the A final, he makes the best qualifying times in the BMWs, but eventually he is passed by Chomat. Tyrus BMW handicapped with only 2-wheel drive because the rear drive has broken. Nonetheless, he finishes a fighting second place, and he takes overall victory for BMW because of his best time in qualifying. His 4th victory in a row at Serre Chevalier, and the first victory this year for BMW. And on the track to try and freeze thousands and thousands of gallons of water. And in qualifying, the AX will be fastest. But the track is not in good condition. In the B final, Francois Chatriot, the championship leader, has mechanical problems and will be able to finish only 10th. Francois Schosch in the Mega wins the final and takes the lead in the Andros Trophy, 5 points ahead of Chatriot. In the A final, Jean-Pierre Malchet in the Citroën AX starts from pole. He was fastest in qualifying, and Malchet wins the A final and takes overall victory in Superbest in front of the 2 Mega drivers, Francois Schosch and Philippe Gache. So Schosch goes to the final round just ahead of Francois Chatriot. And this final round was at Paris. In one of the first days of spring, liquid nitrogen was used, but had completely gone. The ice had completely gone by the time of the finals. Francois Schosch makes a perfect race, takes no risks. He lets Malchet pass him in the A final. And just keeps his 2nd place behind the AX. Schosch wins the Le Bourget final, having made the best time in qualifying, and becomes the championship winner. Championship, and so ends the 7th year of the Trophée Andros, the French Ice Racing Championship. Once again, the news is for enormous interest from all the manufacturers, and this car creating a huge amount of interest, the Audi Avant RS2, which has been built in conjunction with Porsche. This is the Audi A8, the first Audi with aluminium bodywork, 174 horsepower with a V6. Or 300 horsepower with a V8 with the Quattro system. What a car, and it's so light as well with this aluminium bodywork. BMW presenting its new compact Series 3 cars with the 4-cylinder 1.6-litre engines. And Mercedes showing its restyled Class S cars. New front end treatment. New rear ends and new wheels, made to lighten the over-heavy S-Class and also to improve the looks of the cars from 1994 and onwards. Well, if you're into Voyagers, Peugeot presented its Monospace 806 for the first time. Very much a Renault look-alike. And the convertible 306 Peugeot, which we saw earlier in the program. Citroën presenting its Evasion, very similar to the 806. Fiat doing the same with the Ulysses. This is the way to go. Renault's Espace now being copied by everybody. So the Fiat Punto Convertible, attracting a lot of attention at Geneva, as was the Fiat Coupe, which we tested on Motors some weeks ago. First showing for Porsche's new 911 Cabriolet, based on the new 911 shape. Another car we've already seen on Motors on Eurosport, the Saab 900 convertible. Opel presenting for the first time the Tigra, based on the Corsa, the GT version of that. Distinctly Calibra back end, using a 1.6-litre 16-valve 109 horsepower engine, which will be in production by the end of 1994. This is the Opel Frontera convertible, which we'll be seeing in Vauxhall shape as well this year, and the new Opel Omega, top end of the Opel line. Also on show in Geneva, concept cars, cars like this, the Ford Car. Could this be the future of small Fords? This is the Irmscher Selectra, built by the Irmscher body company as their concept car. This was the Mazda HR-X2. Mitsubishi with the ESR has both an electric engine and a petrol engine to recharge the batteries. Volkswagen was there with its Concept 1, going right back to Hitler's original design for the people's car, the Volkswagen, the Beetle. The Oxalys, designed by students from Frankfurt Sbarro's design school in Switzerland, BMW powered.